This is the University of South Australia's MBA program for the course Accounting for Decision Making. And this podcast summarises the requirements of the group project, which is a significant part of the assessment for this course. The group project requires groups to take the perspective of a shareholder. In other words, the first task that groups need to consider is what are the interests that a shareholder may have. And this will lead groups into making an assumption about the type of shareholder they wish to be. The options would be either a large shareholder, in other words a shareholder owning approximately one of the top 20 shareholding positions in the company, or a small shareholder. The next choice to make is whether you take the approach of being a current or existing shareholder, or alternatively whether you take the approach of being a prospective shareholder. The next consideration is the outcome that you seek from your shareholding. And the two choices at the extremes would appear to be either share price growth or dividends. So, given these options, the first half page of your group project should be devoted to a clear identification of the type of shareholder you propose to be. And you can be a mixture or combination of all of the things that I've mentioned. You could be a large prospective shareholder seeking share price growth. You could be a small prospective shareholder seeking dividends. You could be a small prospective shareholder seeking share price growth. You could be a small current shareholder seeking dividends, and so on. I'm putting emphasis on the need to set these assumptions in the first half page because these assumptions will then drive and influence the analysis that you do in the balance of the report. Now clearly, if your focus is dividends, then most of your analysis will be focused on the things which will attribute a strong likelihood that the company will be able to continue to pay dividends. So your focus presumably will be on sustainable profits and the capacity of the company to convert those profits into cash. On the other hand, if you take an approach, whether you're large or small or current or prospective, where you seek share price growth, then your focus will inevitably be on the things which drive share prices up for any organisation. Typically, the things which drive the share price up are the existing rate of profitability and the likelihood of continuation of profitability at that level. So it's the current performance, in other words, and the expectations about the future. So clearly, once you've set the assumptions as to the type of shareholder that you propose to be, then that totally influences the analysis that you undertake in the balance of the report. And with that in mind, I'll be looking particularly at the link between the introduction and the conclusion to your group projects. If you've set a scene at the beginning of the group report where you propose to seek dividend growth or you propose to seek share price growth, then the conclusion should deal with that same issue. My strong advice to you is to only use the ratios that are necessary to prove the point that you seek to make. If, for example, you are taking the position of a shareholder seeking share price growth, then I can't imagine that in your analysis that you'll be devoting much time to the various expense ratios. Instead, I would expect that you'd be putting emphasis on the profit margins and putting emphasis on the likelihood that those margins might be maintained. So things like the return on assets and a DuPont analysis to make sure that you understand the components of the return on assets would be something that might lead you to a conclusion about share price growth. So I'm again putting emphasis on the fact that if you give in your group report 25 or 30 ratios, for each one of them that you calculate the ratio, compare it to previous years, compare it to other companies in the same industry, and then hope that as a result of that some interesting perspective or conclusion will emerge, then you will not get maximum marks. Your analysis needs to be focused. In the introduction, you've set the tone about what you seek to prove, the perspective of the shareholder that you are, and whether you're seeking dividends or share price growth. Your analysis then should follow a logical path, dealing only with the things which will cause dividends or which will cause share price growth. And the ratios that you use should be directly relevant to proving the case. Focus, focus, focus will give you maximum marks in the group project.